Hey guys, I'm Trevor.
I'm Vincent.
And we are the Anthony and Todd Show. Today we're going to be taking a look at the latest Serpent with Feet record, Soil.
How many feet does a serpent have?
Probably one.
Oh, so it hops?
Yeah.
Sin?
It's like a clam. Serpent with Feet is the stage name of Josiah Wise, and Soil is his second venture into the electronic chamber pop kind of sound, and kind of as a side note, also part of his personality. Wise represents really well the gay black male community in music, much like figures like Kevin Abstract or Tyler Creator or Frank Ocean do. And that being said, it is extremely difficult to not draw similarities between Wise and the artists that I just mentioned. Like, all three of these guys thrive off of a slow burning, intimate and warm, but also like very chilling soundscape.
I think you mentioned those artists, but the artist I compare him to the most, and the artist I couldn't like unsee when listening to this project, is James Blake. I think he uses a lot of the same like minimalism and the same almost aesthetic of this like grand aesthetic that James Blake uses, and the isolating aesthetic especially. And it's something I couldn't really unsee, and something I almost saw as like worship throughout the entire project. And it's a good thing because I think it works, but it's a bad thing because I can't unsee it. So it's like this weird in between.
Yeah.
But like that's not my biggest problem with this record. I think overall I enjoy this record, but for the most part, I think it's like an interesting alternative experimental R&B sound. Has, like as you mentioned, very emotional and heartbreaking. Like his vocals though, his like performances and the fact that he turns himself into a choir, it's cool, but he does it so much that it becomes meaningless.
Yeah. That
he does the same type of performance and the same stylings and the same atmosphere so much that it becomes meaningless, and there's no moments where you're like out of the tunnel. And like there's no breaks in between these tunnels. Like you're driving under these long underground tunnels, and there's no moments where you're like out for a second and then you go back in. It's constantly under the tunnel. He's very honest and he's very heartfelt throughout, but it's also so much of the same that it becomes like you can only be heartfelt so much before you're melodramatic.
Yeah.
And that's basically all I can say about this record. I think Clamps Casino, who does a decent amount of the production on this, anytime he pops up, I think it provides a nice little instrumental mix-up from the tracks that he's not a part of. But this is like 40 minutes of like being under the tunnel and no breaks. It takes an initial risk, but it doesn't continue to take risk after that. It delivers a good performance over again, but at the end you're questioning, is this performance good because I just heard it for the last 40 minutes?
Yeah.
And that's like I like the sounds and the soundscapes and the ideas he's presenting. I like how open he's being about his sexuality and all these topics, and how he feels very heartfelt and honest and genuine on this. But I can't see past the soundscape he creates. And that's like, I want to like his character, and I can like his character, but I can't like the ambiance he provides, the performance he provides, like the lyrics and the heartfeltness of his vocals I can get behind, but how he handles himself on the tracks, I really can't.
Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I mean, personally, I didn't mind the soundscape like being the same. I just kind of took it as his influences and just kind of like what he does, because James Blake has a very similar soundscape across an entire album, and sometimes I think it gets a little tiring.
But like, I'm not saying just because James Blake does it, it's good.
Yeah. Because
like that's something I had with his last record, even with his initial debut. I had a problem with that. Like I think James Blake falls from the same faults.
No, yeah, I'm just saying like the other artists that are doing similar things are making the same mistakes as him.
Yeah.
I think that his vocals on here are really like dainty, but also very bold.
Yeah.
It just feels like Serpent with Feet is taking a huge risk on this project, like releasing what he is now, kind of coming out as what he is now. It's just not something that anybody else is doing currently. And yeah, like James Blake has a similar sound, Frank Ocean has a similar sound, but none of those guys have released any full-length projects. So in the gap between them, Serpent with Feet, I think, is providing a good alternative to that. I also think that some of his, like you said, like the word worship comes to mind a lot over the course of this album. I think it comes across in his gospel influences that he brings in from growing up with the church, but I also think it comes in a lot on his lyricism as well. Some of the writing on here I think is really good and heartfelt.
Yeah.
But I also feel like some of it is just very over dramatic on tracks like Fragrant or Cherubim.
Yeah.
Talking about like worshiping a lover. In an interview I read, Serpent with Feet was talking about how he didn't want to just like somebody or think that they were okay, that he was going to be like romantic with. He wanted to be completely obsessed with them and just completely give himself to them.
Yeah.
And I think that his intimacy that he provides on this record is amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I am a part of his life, but sometimes I'm like, am I watching like a Greek play? Am I watching like Oedipus being performed? Like sometimes I just feel
I think that's a little too much. I think it's like that one like bitchy friend you have that's like constantly looking for like a boyfriend. I mean, it's like super melodramatic about everything they say. It's just like, you just got out of a relationship like 5 seconds ago. What the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
Like,
I'm talking like there's some like seriously on Cherubim here. He's talking about like how like I will praise your name.
Yeah,
You are of the Most High. And Fragrant. He's talking about like there's no love where there's cologne. Like I don't know, no love at the Calvin Klein store. I don't know. Just stuff like that. I feel like it's just really. It almost devalues some of his lyrics, in just how dramatically he takes this stuff.
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of people that are all in with their relationships and that are all in with their significant other, and I think that that's awesome. But like digressing to that point, and writing songs about it feels really unhealthy, and it feels really like over dramatic.
It's almost like a representation. I'm not saying he did this, but like those friends you see on Facebook, it's like, oh, they post like every like anniversary. So like our 1 week anniversary, our 1 month anniversary,
our 1.5 week anniversary.
Yeah, it's just like dumb shit like that. Mm-hmm. It's like that's kind of what I relate it to.
It feels like a 6th grade like boyfriend.
Yeah. I think going into some individual moments, really enjoy the track Soil. I think that's a great grand opening, turning himself into a choir. It's really emotional, heartfelt. But then you get into some other moments later on, it kind of provides so much the same momentum. So that's why I enjoyed the initial Soil. I personally enjoy the same track for Fragrant. I think it's an interesting topic, talking about this kind of like revenge love.
It's also talked about on a waft, though.
Yeah. It's like
this whole like smelling kind of
feel
here. I don't know. I really enjoyed the track Whisper, the opening track. I think it just put me in a really cool like headspace for the whole album. I also like the track Seedless. I can feel that paranoia that he's going through.
Some other tracks I enjoy. I just like the vibe that Cherubim provides, talking about those winged angelic beings that you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
May get into too further into worship, but I like the drums that are provided in the track because they provide these like nice little bits of production that break up everything else. That is a nice little touch to make it feel a little bit different. Also, it reminds me a tiny little bit of Young Fathers, this track, with the low pitched vocal harmonies that are provided. Invoice going from like an isolated place to a place of grandeur. Like he starts off very calm and quiet and breaks out into this huge chorus, which I think is kind of cool. The track Waft makes you feel like you're on some type of battleship heading towards war. You feel the drums on the track and you feel his vocals.
Oh, for sure.
It's like you're just being channeled, like you're on this like warship and you're heading out to fight the Spartans or whatever,
the moon Nazis.
The moon Nazis. And then Bless Your Heart, he delivers a very different performance. It's a very simple piano and kick drum. The production, the fact that he's almost minimal in his performance and the minimal production kind of combined to make something that feels grand because it's different from everything else. And that's all I really have to say. My least favorite moments, Messy and Wrong Tree, just because they feel like so close to Soil for me.
Yeah.
Slow Syrup.
I like Slow
It's
Syrup.
just like, it's like disconnected between the hymn and the instrumental. They feel like two separate pieces that have no connection between. And there's like no contrast to make them look like they're separate or for a purpose to be that way. It just feels like they're two separate elements put together, and it's like a peanut butter and petroleum sandwich. It's just not good. But some favorite moments: Whisper, Fragrant, Morning Soul, Waft, Bless Your Heart.
There are definitely some really strong moments.
Yeah.
Overall, I'm gonna give this a 7.
Yeah.
I really liked the soundscape he created here. Sometimes I feel like the lyrics are devalued, but overall, Josiah Wise is an amazing listener as well as he is an artist, meaning he's not listening to it with an artist ear or producer's ear. He's listening to his own work from the ear of an audience member or just a casual listener and saying, what does this track need to be at its fullest potential? And I think he does that really well, especially on tracks like Waft, where you feel like you're on the warship, or you've got all that gospel influence on Cherubim. So, I don't know, just like that space that he creates to transport you to what he's feeling now requires a great ear. Just as Tyler, the Creator's Flower Boy, did last year, I think Soil is a huge step in the right direction for LGBT representation in hip-hop or just music in general. And overall, I found this to be a beautiful record with just a couple of minor complaints and quibbles.
I think I see this more as like progress. It's like this is not the peak for him.
No,
this is like
this will never be the peak. I don't think.
This is like building. Like this is his second album, right?
Yeah.
This is like him building on top of himself in a sense to make something better. And I think it may take him a couple records to get it right, but I think he's going to continually build on top of himself until he finds the format, the way he should space out these tracks, the way everything should be spaced out, how he'll finally realize that you need these breaks or these moments of different soundscapes to provide so you get a more thorough experience, so it feels more like a living, breathing album instead of just a long road trip underground. I
think he'll get there eventually, and this is just I just think it's a step in the right direction for where he wants to be.
Yeah. I'm feeling a 7 on this. I liked it. I just have problems with everything kind of sounding the same.
Yeah.
And that's about it. It's really in the same headspace. A lot of the vocal harmonies. That's really what does me in, is a lot of the vocal harmonies, and the fact that there really isn't too much production here, so it's more of him taking center stage and everything else. But yeah, if you want to hear us talk more about music, we host a weekly podcast called The Anthony and Todd Show, which we do weekly on Apple Music and Spotify. Or if you want to hear us do more reviews, we got a plethora of reviews on our channel. And if you want to see those, check them out. They're on our YouTube channel. We got plenty of them every week. We have tons of reviews for you to check out. But until next time, guys, I've been Vincent.
I'm Trevor.
And see ya, boyos.
Bye, everybody.